Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. I have a fun little project today and I think it's going to be a quick one as well. It's an outdoor hanging toilet roll holder. We all need one of those, right? So if you go camping and you're sitting out in the bush and you've got nowhere to park your toilet roll, this is the bag for you. So come along and I'll show you how to make this outdoor toilet roll holder. Here is everything that we need. I'm going to be putting an eyelet in the bottom of this holder. Ideally, I would like one that is 1 inch, but I've only got a 1/2 inch, so that's what I'm using today. But if you do have eyelets, a 1 inch eyelet, and if you don't have eyelets at all, then just make a buttonhole, a 1 inch buttonhole. So we've got the eyelet, we have 2 1 inch D-rings, a length of strapping that's at least 18 inches long and 1 inch wide. These are for handles, so if you don't have strapping or webbing, then you can just make up a piece with your fabric. I have a zip that is 20 inches or 50 centimetres in length, much longer than what I need, but it's better to be able to cut it down. Then I have 2 circles cut out of the fabric that are 6 inches in diameter, so they need to measure 6 inches across. A strip of fabric that is about 7 inches by 1.5 inches. This will be cut back later. A 1.5 inch strip by 19 inches and a 5 inch by 19 inch strip of fabric as well. I'm using upholstery fabric for this project. I'm not going to be lining it either. I don't see the point in lining a camping project. And if you don't have upholstery fabric, you can use a denim, something heavy, a duck, a denim, a canvas, anything heavy like that. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do with one of my circles is put the eyelet in. Now, if you don't have eyelets, as I said, just make a buttonhole, fold it in half, find the centre. I've made a mark in the middle there. And if you're going to make a buttonhole, then make a 1 inch buttonhole right along the centre there. That'll be big enough for you to be able to pull the toilet tissue through. If you've got an eyelet and a punch, make a hole in the centre of the fabric big enough for the eyelet. Place the hooded part of the eyelet face down on your tool and your fabric face down and the little flat washer directly on top. And then all we need to do is punch that down. And there's our eyelet. We can set that aside. Take your 5 inch and 1.5 inch strips of fabric and we're going to place the zip face down onto the long edge of the 5 inch strip. And I think I might use double-sided tape today. This is quite a long piece, so I'm going to use my double-sided tape. I'll run a strip all the way along that long edge. And dig your fingernail into the edge there and that'll help release the paper from the adhesive. Place the zip over the top. Now we've got the lumpy side faced down, evenly spread along the fabric. So you'll see my slide is off the edge, that's fine. And the metal teeth is off the edge as well, which is what I want. With that zip in place, I'm going to go and sew that in place. Then we'll open it out and top stitch. Okay, let's back stitch at the beginning and sew all the way down to the end, and we'll back stitch at the end as well. No need to move the slider out of the way because we've already got that sitting off the fabric. Now we can turn the zip to the front, so we need to fold that over. The zipper tape underneath needs to fold to the back of that main piece of fabric. We'll do a 1/8 inch top stitch all the way to the end. Just make sure that you've got that zipper tape pointing to the bottom of the fabric. Okay, that's one side of the zip done. Now we need to do the other. We'll take our 1.5 inch strip and that's going to sit at the top of our zip. And I want to match up my pattern as well. So I'm going to run my tape along this edge here. Then that can sit along my zip and the pattern will match up. And I'll place that directly over the top of the zipper tape here, making sure my side edges are nice and even. Once you're happy with that, take it back to the machine. We'll sew along the top edge and then we'll top stitch again. Again, we will back stitch at the beginning and the end. When you've done that, open out that short piece of fabric. Make sure that the edge of your zipper tape points toward the outside edge and we'll top stitch that in place. Now we're going to add this side piece. It's a little bit longer than what we need, and we're going to take that and just lay that along the side edge here where we've got the zipper opening. So you want to open that out, take your 1.5 inch strip of fabric, place that directly over the top, line that up on the side edge. Keep your zipper teeth as close together as you can at this point. So with that clipped in place, I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam down this edge here. Where the zip is, I'm going to go over that a couple of times. So you can see the zip on this side here. Keep your teeth as close as you can and triple stitch over that bit at the end. When you're sewing over the zip, make sure that you don't have the metal bars of the zip in the way. You want to make sure that they're well off the fabric. Then we can top stitch this little flap in place as well. So fold the flap over and top stitch 1/8 inch from the edge. Okay, with that little tab in place on the side, it's been top stitched. We can now remove the excess tape from the zip. And that's nice and secure with the triple stitching underneath and that row of top stitching. We need to add this tab to the other side of the fabric now. Before we do that, we want to just double check the measurement of our circle. So you'll want to take a tape measure and measure all the way around, and then check that measurement against this long strip that we've got here. You can either fold the circle in half and measure around there and double it, or you can measure right around the entire circle. Take your tape measure and measure from one side, follow the curve, and that is 9.5 inches, twice is 19 inches. Now we need to make sure that our fabric along here is 19 inches plus our seam allowance. So at the moment I've got just under 20 inches. So our seam allowance is 1/4 inch. We need that on each side, so that's 1/2 inch. And so our measurement for the circle is 19 inches. We need that plus another 1/2 inch of fabric for our seams. So I will measure 19.5 inches and I'll trim off the rest. So I've got my 19.5 inch line along the straight edge of the other end of the fabric, and I can trim this off in one go. I want to be cutting the zip off as well. Make sure that there's no metal teeth there for you to be cutting through. And you can cut off the excess on the tab as well. Okay, now we need to take this end up to this one. Let's get our zip out of the way. We'll take this back to the machine. So 1/4 inch down the side. Once you've done that, open it out and just get in between the layers of fabric, and we can top stitch that side gusset in place as well. And very quickly back stitch beginning and the end before we do our top stitch. Triple stitch over the area where the zipper teeth are. And this is a little bit fiddly. You want to get in and make sure that the seam that you've just joined is facing toward the gusset, so it'll actually be pointing in the same direction that the original one was done, and then we'll top stitch. So we finished attaching the zip and we've done that side gusset there, and you can see that the zip, when I finished it, I've top stitched the seams so they're are continuing in line with the zip. That way there's less bulk and we're not actually bending that zipper tape over. So this is it so far. Now we're going to place a handle on top of the circle and also a loop on the side. We're going to cut a 12-inch strip of strapping or a handle piece. Place your D-ring through that, and then we're going to sew one end of your strapping toward the center here. You can do a cross inside there, and we'll do the same thing on this side. It doesn't really matter where you place your strapping as long as it's across the center here. So place one end on here. If you feel as though yours is going to fray, you can just get a match or a lighter and singe the edges as well. Put your D-ring on top, bring the tape right across to the other side, making sure that it's not twisted. We'll go back to the machine now, and we're going to just do a box around here, and then we'll do a cross in the center. So it's fairly simple here. Go straight down, across about another inch, come back up and meet at the beginning again, and then you can do a cross on both sides. So the handle at the top is finished. What I'm going to do is just fold the side edge in, and I'm going to top stitch just along the very edge of that strapping, just to keep it sitting up, and I'll do the same thing on that side. I'll go and do that quickly. So it was totally unnecessary, but I just felt like I wanted to have a nice crisp fold over that side there. So that's now ready to be hung from a tree. I want a secondary loop just on the side here. So with my other D-ring and the remaining 6 inches of webbing, I'm going to place that over the top, and I'll just close that up on the underneath. I'll let the ends meet. I've put a couple of strips of double-sided tape just on the inside there, and I'll bring the raw edge of the end of the strapping in to meet the other one. So I'm just closing that up, and then this edge here that we've taped together, we're going to place that face down over that side gusset. I'm going to position this strapping about halfway down. I'll go back to the machine now. I'll sew across here, sew up about 1.5 inches or so, come across and down, and then I'll do a cross there as well. And then this section here can just be a hanging flap. To sew this last piece of strapping in place, it's easier to have the bag inside out with the printed fabric faced up. Then you can just stitch along the bottom, up the sides, do your crosses, and you're done. The side loop is done, and it's completely optional too. You don't need to put this on here at all if you don't want to. Likewise, the handle you don't have to have. It just depends on how you plan on hanging it from a tree or one of those portable toilet tents. Okay, the most complicated part is coming right up. We now need to attach our bottom and top circles. So I would find the center of the side gusset and mark that with a pin, and fold that all the way across so it's nice and even, and mark the other side with a pin. And we'll do the same on the opposite side, so bring the 2 pin sections together. So we've got that done, and then we want to find the quarter sections of our circle, and we can line those up. Bring those pins together. And find the centre on the other side. And now we should be able to match up the two circles. Place your bag inside out. And we'll have the circle piece faced down. We want the right side of the circle facing the right side of the main part of the bag. And then we can line up the pins here. And I might use clips here instead. So mark that clip, find the other section as well, line that up. Same on the opposite side as well. And then all you need to do, line up the side seam nice and evenly in between those quadrants. And we can take it to the sewing machine and sew it all the way around. So once you've done that side, you can turn around and do exactly the same thing for the other side. It's at this point here you want to make sure that you've got the zip open, because otherwise we won't be able to turn this the right way around later. We'll go and measure the 4 quadrants again on the top and on the lid, and then we can clip that all together and sew it all up. Okay, it is all ready to be stitched together now. I've got the top all clipped together. We're going to sew in the round, and then we will do the same for this side as well. And then it is completely finished. As I said earlier, I won't be lining this bag, and if you don't like the raw edges as they are and you've got a serger or an overlocker, you just need to go and overlock the edges on the top and the bottom. If you don't have that and you still want to neaten your edges, you can go around and zigzag or use some pinking shears. It's going to be awkward no matter which way you sew, so let's just get started. We'll do a back stitch at the beginning and the end. Make sure that you've got your D-ring well out of the way. You don't want to accidentally sew over that. And 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So that was fairly painless. I finished that top one and we'll go and do the bottom one. Then I will turn everything the right way around, double check it, and if I feel I need to, I'll go and double stitch all the way around. Okay, we are done. You want to turn your toilet roll holder the right way around, and your toilet roll will sit inside here. Although this is just a small toilet roll, I've made allowances for the bigger ones that you can get, so you'll easily be able to fit that inside. What you need to do is take the cardboard insert out from the middle. And just find the end of the roll, and we'll just pull a little bit out. Pop that through the eyelet or your buttonhole if you didn't have an eyelet. And that could just sit inside there, close it up, and you can hang it from your nearest tree. So you can hang it from the side or from the top, it doesn't matter. And you can just pull your toilet paper out as you need it along here. Nifty, isn't it? So how was that for something a little bit different? A hanging outdoor toilet roll holder, or if you go traveling around the world and you need something packed in your suitcase, you can take your own personal toilet roll holder with you. The tissue easily comes out at the bottom. You've got a D-ring at the top where you can hang it from a branch, or you can hang it from your luggage case if you want to. I don't really know. I think somebody made this suggestion to me some time back, so it's taken me a little while, and I don't remember who it was that made that suggestion, so I do apologise, but it was a very fun little project to make, something a little bit different. So if you go camping, if you're out in the bush a lot, Even if you're on the road all the time, if you're in the truck even, and you need to pull over on the side of the road, you've got something. At least you'll be prepared. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.